Hello everyone, welcome to Res Snapper. My name's MJ and this is Snap or Pass, the series where we look at the new cards that come into Marvel Snap each week. This week it's Kahhori. She's a 4/6. On reveal, each card in your hand gives one of your cards in play plus 1 power. In this video we're going to look at the Spotlight week that she is in. We'll talk a little bit about the upcoming snap packs and what you should do in the interim. We'll look at some deck ideas, counters, synergies, all of the stuff that you would expect. And it's going to be a very fun time. You should take the subscribe button, dismantle it, and then absolutely annihilate it with your selection tools, be it your finger or a clicking pointer on a mouse. That way you'll get, you know, it'll be good, won't it? I'm not going to describe how subscribe works. Anyway, yeah, Kahhori. Let's look at the Spotlight week that she is in. And let's talk about the upcoming snap packs just for a few seconds so I can tell you what I'm going to do and also tell you what maybe you should consider. So we're in this weird transition period before the new acquisition system comes into force. Potentially might be the end of April or it might be the beginning of June. We don't know the exact date yet. It depends on if the basically preparations go well for second dinner, I think. What we do know is that Spotlight keys and Spotlight caches will actually be completely removed from the game and they'll be converted into tokens, and the new primary method of acquiring cards going forward will be either purchasing them with tokens, similar to how we do now, or by opening snap packs, which doesn't guarantee what you're going to get, but gives you like various different pulls from different options that you can buy. What it means is, because the keys are converting at 3,000 tokens each, it means that in this interim period, you should only roll keys if you need 2 cards, because it takes, on average, 2.5 keys to get 1 new card if you only need 1 new card in that week. If you need 2 of these cards, then you should probably roll because it's probably beneficial for you. But let's have a look at this Spotlight week. Hopefully I've explained that clearly. Basically, if you need 2 keys, you should roll. Otherwise, you probably shouldn't unless you really want Kahhori or the variants. This week it's Cull Obsidian, a very nice variant for Cull Obsidian. I personally think this is his best variant he's ever had. And Hydra Bob. Hydra Bob is a Series 5. I didn't mention Cull Obsidian is a Series 4. So it's like mid-value, but also Hydra Bob is very good still even. Cull Obsidian had his time in the spotlight, not the spotlight, the limelight, I guess. Had his time in the limelight, let's say. Oh, say, can you say? What am I doing? I mean, I normally say this at the end of the video, but guys, to be honest, I need this Cull Obsidian variant. I think this Cull Obsidian variant is sick. So anyway, I think I've spent enough time on that opening section. Let's talk about the mechanics of the card. I think the archetypes she's going to fit most into are on reveal. These are the kinds of decks where you can, well, you have lots of on reveal cards and you make use of those on reveal cards by either duplicating their effects with things like Grandmaster and Odin, or having a final turn payoff of a Gore, for example. The Mergers deck is going to be really nice, and buffs in general whilst we're at it. Shield decks, because of course you're always going to have a full hand, so you're going to get better value out of her. Atlantis decks, these are the kinds of decks where you just play 1 card in 2 locations. It might be a Cosmo or a Colossus so they don't die to Shang-Chi, or you might be brave and play like a Sebastian Shaw, and then you do stuff like Namora and buffs and Wongs, and it's, yeah, super fun vibes. Maybe she'll fit into a Surfer deck just purely on the basis of her strength with Sebastian Shaw, which we'll discuss in a second. Devil Dinosaur decks, again, she has this kind of, she's walking the line between 2 different synergies of both buffs but also hand size. So I think if you're able to utilise either of those effectively, you're going to feel really good about Kahhori. It's where you can utilise both that she'll feel particularly strong herself. So for example, just a quick little shout out, we'll of course talk about it in the Synergies section, even though I didn't feature the card that I'm about to mention in the Synergies section. But a card like Penny Parker, she not only is like a buff card, but she's also like an add card to hand card. So like she's generating value for you, and she also synergizes well with other buff cards like, again, Sebastian Shaw. So she's one of the few cards that can buff cards on your board. There's not a huge amount of cards that buff stuff on your board. A lot of the cards are doing it before your card has entered play. So for example, Aranya, or Gwenpool, or Galacta, or Forge. So lots of different options if you want to add power before you've played. But Kahhori adds a very nice option, especially at this cost level as well. You kind of had Ironheart before, or Namora, or... And yeah, Sebastian Shaw is an incredible synergy with Kahhori because very, very crucially... That was the face of someone who's realised they just skipped a point. Anyway, very crucially, she dishes out individual points of power one at a time. She doesn't go, okay, you got 6 cards in hand, let's do 2 to that one, 1 to that one, and 1 each to those 3 or whatever. She will deliver each one individually, which means if you got Sebastian Shaw, he's going to get repeated pings. So Sebastian Shaw is literally her best synergy. And now let's go back to the one that I skipped. I mean, I was practically talking about Gwenpool and Galacta anyway, but she is similar in power output and stats to Gwenpool and Galacta. 4/6, obviously Galacta's a 4/5 now, but 4/6 and does something strong, which is buffing your other cards. The cool thing about Kahhori is that she does it afterwards, after you play the card, which I really like and gives her a different level of flexibility. You need to change what types of cards you play, because theoretically Gwenpool and Galacta work with any card, you just have to have not played them yet, whereas Kahhori, they have to be on the board, so there has to be some sort of benefit to them growing before you've played them, which isn't the case with some cards like Brood, for example. You don't get much benefit for buffing Brood after you've played them because they're not duplicating that effect, other than like Surf or whatever. Anyway, pros. Synergizes well in most decks. You'll often have enough cards in hand to get value. Like, think about the average game. You've often got 3 cards in your hand. Fine, you've often got 3 cards in your hand. So she's a 4/9. That's great value, right? Is that not fantastic value? Her average value is about 4/9 and can reach 4/13 or more with multiple triggers. You slam her down with a full hand, and then your next turn, that could be turn 4, right? Your next turn could be something like Snow Guard or Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, with a Grandmaster. So you've refilled your hand, and you're re-triggering all of those, all of the +6 or even the +7. Absolute madness. And the power that she dishes out, it's on-board power. Nothing is going to waste. It's extremely strong to re-trigger. Because it can be up to a +7, it means re-triggering it or triggering it twice. Like, this is... Obviously, there's limitations because it is dependent on your hand size, but it is potentially one of the strongest on-reveal effects in the game. If you've got a full hand, it's close to being a White Tiger power output. And White Tiger has got 1 power and costs 1 more energy. So just think about that, okay? And she's got fine base stats. She's a 4/6. You don't feel bad about playing that whatsoever. And a very strong on reveal. This is Hannah Montana style, isn't it? She is the best of both worlds. So yeah, that's good. Cons. I have to start this by saying there really are few downsides. Like, yeah, finding specific cards that synergize with being buffed after they've been played is difficult. That is a pretty short list of cards. That being said, I mean, just generically giving out power is strong, is good. That's never a bad thing. So, the primary con really is that you can't control where the individual points of power go. I mean, you could have Shaw out and not get a single ping and all the buffs go to your other cards potentially. So yes, slightly unpredictable. You know, the power might not go in a location where you need it to. Let's talk about locations on that word that I just said. Hanging on every word. Get this back on track, boy. Good locations include Carmartage. I mean, Carmartage is crazy. You could be dishing out 14 power potentially. I mean, the circumstance of you playing Kahhori on turn 4 and you've got 7 cards in hand is slim. It would have to be something like your opponent had priority and played Master Mold or so. But it can happen. But anyway, yeah, duplicating the effect is insanely strong. Cloning VATS is really nice because not only do you get another copy of Kahhori to play, but she's also adding to your hand, so that feels good. Bar Sinister is nuts. I mean, think about playing these cards like Gwenpool and Galacta into Bar Sinister. Yes, you're essentially pretty much giving up that Bar Sinister location, although it should be said, 6 power is nothing to sniff at. If they have to play 6 power into Bar Sinister, like on the final turn, for example, they might not be able to do that and win one of the other locations if you are spewing out literally 20 plus power with Kahhori on the rest of your board. So, I mean, the slight downside is your other targets probably become pretty Shang-Chiable, but it's still difficult for them to muster. Sinister London, same reasons, duplicating the effects is going to be wild. The Raft is a nice one because you can fill it up and you have this way, Kahhori, to get loads of power into it. Actually, that's something that I didn't even cover all that much in the rest of this entire video. Like a lockdown style deck or like a trick deck. You may have seen my recent video, or actually it's a couple of months old now, but the Shield Trap deck, where you block a location, but you've actually played cards that you've generated in your hand there, so you get extra buffs from like Mr. Fantastic or Victoria Hand, or other ways to get power into that location that your opponent isn't expecting. Actually, Kahhori would probably fit quite well into that deck. Valhalla for the same reasons as the other locations which duplicate the power. And Kiln. Kiln is nice. You can not only just play Kahhori into Kiln on turn 4, but if a couple of your buffs go into that location as well, that's great. Maybe you're absorbing man on the next turn, even if you didn't lose it. But very edge case scenario there, but still. And bad, of course, Nowhere, because Nowhere blocks the on reveals, guys. It won't have. Don't play. It won't happen. Counters. God, that devilish little prick. Shadow King is back, isn't he? Shadow King featured so many times. I mean, he does feature so many times in these counter slides as general, but he had a little hot spot a couple of months ago where he's just popping up all the time. He's certainly well and truly back with this, because at a single location he's going to kill all of Kahhori's buffs, so that's going to feel bad. Moon Knight, of course, is going to discard resource from your hand. Anything that gets rid of cards from your hand will, of course, negatively synergize or counter. This is the counter section. Counter Kahhori because it's taking stuff out of your hand, so it's removing the buff. But I mean, that being said, you're only knocking off 1 power. Yeah, you're also knocking off the resource generation, but like, yeah. And of course, Cosmo will literally stop Kahhori from working. Let's move on to the synergies, and before we talk about any of them, let's talk about Penny Parker. As I said, she adds to her hand and she buffs, so she works well with a lot of the cards that inherently work well with Kahhori. If we think about those cards that want to be buffed whilst, like, after you've played them, like I say, it is kind of a small list, but we've got cards on here like Lasher, Sebastian Shaw and Scarlet Spider. These are all things that you need to get down, especially in the case of Lasher and Scarlet Spider. They're activate cards, so really you actually want to get them down as soon as possible and then buff them after the fact. That's great. One of my favourite decks in the game, and actually the deck I've been using to climb this season, is this style of deck where I play Hulkbuster, Penny Parker, Galacta, Gwenpool, and actually I'm going to definitely try Kahhori in that deck. I think I'll probably need to fit in Zabu somehow. Actually, the version I'm playing at the moment does have Zabu in because I've teched in Super Scroll, and it has been doing very well for me. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked again. We also like cards that add cards to your hand because they keep Kahhori's buff as big as possible. So Snowguard and Hawkeye Kate Bishop are two really key ones, not only because they add 2 cards to your hand, but also they're cheap as well, so you can refill easily, especially in the case of Snowguard. On turn 5 you can do a Snowguard into Kahhori, keep your hand nice and full, and get all of the extra buffs. Shout out to Nick Fury, who we haven't featured on here as well, but he adds 3 cards to your hand, and also Moon Girl as well would be a fair choice too. Grandmaster, we've spoken about him, gonna feel really good, getting essentially a 2-costed retrigger of Kahhori, which could be a +3, +4, +5 power. That then sends a Grandmaster's value to like up to 8, a 2/8, so really good value. Sebastian Shaw is absolutely bonkers, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how crazy that's going to be. I think I'm not the biggest Silver Surfer player, so I think Kahhori's addition to the game and her curving so well into Sebastian Shaw, it's going to make my Sebastian Shaw play rate shoot through the roof. Wong, of course, being able to double that effect, as we've said numerous times, is very strong. And then the Odin on there is just going to spew out power like a ping pong. Right, let's talk about the decks. I've actually got 4 decks for you this week. We got budget buffs. This is a budget deck, so it's only got one series 5 card, which is of course Kahhori herself. And this style of deck, basically, we're kind of like mixing everything. So it's buffs, so we want to buff our things like our Lasher, even our Iron Man, our Sebastian Shaw. We've also got Iron Lad in here to hopefully copy one of them or one of our other powerful abilities. The one shout out to look out for here is do watch out for the Mystique with the Iron Lad. If you haven't drawn Mystique yet and you're planning to play Iron Lad, just be cautious and aware of that, because we've got a few effects that we want to copy with Mystique potentially, Devil, Dinosaur and Iron Man. On the final turn, we can do an Odin on the Kahhori, which spews out loads of power, and then we activate our Lasher on the final turn. Hopefully, like Sebastian Shaw gets a couple of licks of power. Just a very nice sort of general deck. We've also got just a few cards in here which might not seem quite at home, but Maria Hill and Snowguard to keep our hand as full as possible and just give us some alternative options to play. Moving on to Savage Splits. This is basically my favourite style of deck. This is pretty much very close to what I'm playing at the moment in the game. So Zabu to reduce all the cost of our 4-cost cards, which includes all of our buffer ladies, the Kahhori, Gwenpool and Galacta trio. Should they actually have a name? Because they're all so similar, should they have a name? What's one of the most famous trios? Should I Google this? Probably not in the middle of this video. Might cause people to turn off, but obviously got the Three Musketeers. Most famous trios. Chocolate, strawberry, vanilla. I'm not going to say that, am I? I'm not going to say that they're the Neapolitan. Although, is one of them pink, brown, and... I'm not going... No, not going down that route. The Jonas Brothers. This is getting ridiculous. The Powerpuff Girls. The Powerpuff Girls could be good. Guys, vote in the comments. What should we call this trifecta? We've got like Powerpuff Girls. Destiny's Child is a pretty good one. Alvin, Simon, Theodore. We're the Chickmunks. We're the Chipmunks. Nah. Harry, Hermione and Ron. Charlie's Angels. Yeah, what are we going to call them? Huey, Louie, Dewey and Louie? No. Cool. This has been completely derailed. Great. Anyway, I'm not going to say anything else about this deck other than I absolutely love it. It's genuinely one of my favourite decks in the game. I think it's insanely fun. I usually run Makari in here, by the way. That's one of the main differences. I usually, if you take out Kahhori and Zabu, I've got Agony and the card that I just mentioned, which I've already forgotten, Makari. Brilliant. This video is going so f***ing well. The next deck is I Want to Redo. This is all about maximising that value by duplicating that on reveal effects, and we've just got other really strong on reveal cards here as well. So we do have only one cost card in here, which is America Chavez. Hopefully we want to get our Lasher down. If you don't, you actually have resource generation in the form of Hawkeye, Kate Bishop and Iron Patriot, so there's other stuff you can do. And then we hopefully win that location by playing like a strong Ironheart or Sebastian Shaw, or even just re-triggering something with Grandmaster or playing our arrows out, whatever. Blah blah blah. Iron Lad to duplicate all of these really strong on reveal effects that we get, or imagine getting an Iron Ladded Lasher or an Iron Ladded Sebastian Shaw, really nice stuff. And towards the end of the game, our options are basically Wong combo. So we got Wong, Absorbing Man, Kahhori, and we got Odin to top it all off. So could be a fun one. I think the amount of on reveals you'll be able to trigger and just do mad craziness, especially with this resource generation, is a cool idea. So could be a good one. And then the final deck, again, I'm really excited to try this one. I think this looks extremely fun. This is the Atlantis style deck. So as we said earlier, you basically play, if you've never played the Atlantis style decks before, you play a card in 2 individual locations. And in fact, I've just noticed we've only basically got one Atlantis card in here, which is Namora. Obviously you could play Namor in here if you wanted to lose the game, but yeah, Colossus, Lasher, Cosmo, Shaw. Get those as your pillars, your staples in the locations, and then in the other location you do like your Wong, Kahhori or Namora, and then Odin. Whatever you happen to draw, play in that sort of combination. I think having the Kahhori here gives it a little bit more options if you don't draw your Wong, for example. But also, we've also got the Black Panther in here, maybe as a surprise play on the Wong location. They're like, at the end of the game, they're like, oh, okay, they're going to win the other 2 locations, I'll try and win this one. Actually, you play down the Black Panther, and you're getting a surprise 20 power play on the Wong location. So, could be bloody interesting. Just a quick reminder, guys, please like, subscribe. What? Why am I covered? I am fucking firing my editor. This is ridiculous. Honestly, I should be getting a better service for the amount that I pay this prick. This is ridiculous. Anyway, I edit these. Turn on notifications. Joking apart, they really help my channel, so please do that. So, star ratings. Overall, I think she's a 4-star card. I think she's very, very good, very widely usable. I think she'll kind of be another one of these good cards, as she is part of the Jonas Brothers trio. We're not going with Jonas Brothers, but as she is part of the Jonas Brothers trio, I said, I've been to the year. Did you know that in the UK, that song was actually originally sang by a band called Busted? Or not in the UK, in the world. That song was sang by Busted, and then Jonas Brothers did a cover of it. So yeah, Google the original version. Much better than the Jonas Brothers shite. Nothing against them, but the original is better. Anyway, so yeah, again, if you're still here, I will be, it's a miracle. From a fun perspective, I think she'll be 3.5 stars. Like, I think it will definitely feel good to ping out all of that power, especially with the VFX and stuff. But nothing crazy over the top fun. From an archetype perspective, I wouldn't say that she pushes any particular archetype too far. Like, yeah, sure, I think she adds a little bit of extra reliability to some of these decks, like the Atlantis style stuff. But I don't think you're going, oh, this archetype desperately needed this card. I don't think you're saying that. So maybe just 3.5 stars from there. She's a good addition. And from a competitive standpoint, I actually do think she will be good. I think, like I say, I just think she's very, very good value. She'll work in a lot of decks. Like, kind of easy to fulfill all of her options, like just having a big hand size. There's great cards that add cards to your hand, like Iron Patriot and Hawkeye Kate Bishop. So, seems like she'll be good. And also, we've seen some recent data leaks. She's going to synergize well with a lot of those cards as well. There's a lot of cards that are adding multiple cards to your hand. So, the future is bright for Kahhori. So, in my opinion, she is a snap. Like I said, I mean, there is this added complication of what you should do in this interim period. You shouldn't really be rolling keys at the moment, especially if you only need 1 card. Well, I mean, exclusively if you only need 1 card. If you need 2 cards, you actually should be rolling keys. For me personally, though, I am actually rolling keys because I really, really, really want this Cull Obsidian variant. This, like, I don't really realistically think I can live without it. So yeah, I do need that. Fine. And yeah. Now, let's move on to the final section. This is our newly added section about the previous cards and what my thoughts on them are. I've now had a chance to play both Captain Carter and Goliath. I'd say not super extensively. I did actually start the season off with an ongoing deck. I enjoy playing it, but the thing with me, guys, I'm not a I just don't get as much enjoyment from the game when I'm playing the similar deck that everyone else is playing. I just don't get that much enjoyment from it. So I played it for a little bit, and then I moved on to like Nimrod, and then I finally settled on my Savage Spider stuff which I've been playing the most. Anyway, I did play them a little bit, and they mostly aligned with my thoughts from my previous Snapple Pass videos from last week. Captain Carter feels incredibly strong in that single location, but she is a little bit awkward. You do have to kind of manipulate where you play her. There are cards which help with that, like especially Sam Wilson, allowing you to play her in the front row and making sure you can back in stuff behind. That's really nice. Or Rocket and Groot is a great card to do that as well. That movement allows you to dip out of somewhere and she slots into the front row, so that's good. But she is a little bit clunky, and all she's doing is progressing a lane in which you were probably going to win anyway. I mean, you might be coupling her with something like a Moonstone or even a Goliath. Listen, I think in this current meta, I almost think she's kind of, even though she's popping up in decks, I think she's kind of being misplayed a little bit, and she's making the location that she's at too strong. I think the decks aren't quite right for her. So I'm really, really eager to experiment with her more after I've hit Infinite and I can piss around in Conquest and whatnot. I'm going to try her out in buff decks and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think I gave her 3.5 in Snapple Pass. Pretty much stand by that. I think she's a good card, probably above average. Just we haven't maybe completely figured her out yet, and she's a bit awkward to play. Goliath, on the other hand, I gave 4 stars, and I think I'm chatting absolute bollocks. I think he's probably closer to a 6-star card. So at the very least, he's a 5-star card. Probably should have given him 6. He is absolutely crazy. He gets up to 2, 9, 10 pretty easily and pretty consistently. And we did identify in Snapple Pass how insanely strong he was going to be with Moonstone. Moonstone's new best friend. So, yeah. Really, really good. Anyway, what do you think of their cards? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you are literally here by now and you put up with all of the bullshit that I gave you in this video, you honestly deserve a middle. So a middle. You deserve a middle. I can't even tell. I can't even platitude you. Is platitude even a word? I don't know. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.